So, to get us started, why don't you tell me a little bit about your professional background?
All right. This is my 8th year at Democracy Prep and my 10th year in teaching. Out of those 10 years, I have spent 8 years teaching either 11th or 12th grade. I taught 9th and 10th for 2 years. So I taught 2 years of 11th grade U.S. history in Mississippi. Then I did a year-long grad school program in educational policy. That's when I moved to DC. I did 2 years of 9th and 10th grade, spent 5 years teaching sociology of change and economics and running the Change the World program. And then this year was my first year teaching 11th grade U.S. history at CHS.
So how long, just for specifics, have you worked at a charter school?
8 years at a charter school.
And that's all at your current school?
Yep, all at Democracy Prep Charter High.
So why don't you walk me through your personal educational experience, like K through 12, etc.
All right. I grew up in a small town in Minnesota, so we actually had a really, really good education system. So I was K through 12 in the same education system, public education. I was in the gifted and talented program from 4th to 6th grade, at which point the program itself had ended. I took all accelerated and AP courses throughout middle and high school. Then I went to college at Sarah Lawrence College in Bronxville, New York. I spent my junior year abroad at Oxford University at Wadham College there, and then obviously returned for my senior year. And then I have a graduate degree in education policy from the University of Pennsylvania.
Cool. So when you went to your undergrad, did you feel prepared? And if so, how?
Yes, I was absolutely prepared. My undergrad experience was, I think, very different than the traditional experience. Sarah Lawrence runs, so we take every year consistently, you take 3 classes, and then outside of those 3 classes, you are working with each of those professors one-on-one to write an outside research paper. Classes themselves are only 15 students and it's all about reading and discussing and really working with discussion and primary sources. And then obviously there's this outside research project. It's whatever topic you choose aligned with your course. I was always a voracious reader. I was forever getting in trouble for having a book under my desk. I didn't talk in class. I read instead of paid attention. So I was really well prepared for that. I was really well prepared for all of the writing that I did in college. There was basically no adjustment for me going from high school writing to college level writing, other than just the sheer quantity of writing I was going to be doing. But that really didn't bother me at all. And the majority of classes I took as a high school student, while they were bigger classes, 30 kids, they were still very much discussion based. So I had a lot of practice with that as well.
So if you were to define college ready, how would you define it?
Oh boy. I think it needs to be broken down into a couple of different subsets of skills. So I think there is the executive functioning and sort of maturity skills that kids need to have to be college ready. They need to be able to manage a schedule. They need to be able to prioritize personal needs over personal wants. You need to be able to read a syllabus and identify how long it is going to take them to complete a task, manage a calendar, etc., including, setting an appropriate bedtime and waking up in the mornings. And then I think there should be academic skills of being able to take notes and know how to study with or without the guidance of a professor or TA. They need to be able to read, obviously at a high school or college reading level. They need to be able to read for both comprehension as well as nuance. I don't have a sense really for math and science because I didn't take math and science classes in college. I didn't need to, with the way things were set up. But once I got my grad school, economic analysis courses and stats courses, I needed a fundamental, understanding and comprehension of how algebra and numbers worked. But, I didn't need to know further than that. So I guess like number sense is more important, and like functioning and existence of numbers and how they work in the world is what I think is more important than like, do they know how to take a derivative? But obviously my best friend who's a calculus teacher would disagree with me.
So when and where do you feel like you constructed that definition?
I honestly have no idea. I think it has been from like where I know I was going to college, where friends of mine who had struggled in high school and then succeeded in college, like knowing where they'd struggled and where they succeeded, like that kind of has helped me derive some of that. Looking at, I mean, as especially teaching Change the World and working with seniors over the last 5 years, I think my definition and the way I approached and had kids approach the project changed over time. To be focused a lot more on like what are transferable skills that the kids can take from this project into college. So more than just like, did they check the boxes? Are they learning how to read and sort through evidence? Are they learning how to identify strong sources that are reputable? Are they learning how to pull different pieces of information and juggle it in a way that makes sense in their brains and then put that on paper? And so looking at that more as a like readiness and preparation for college level thinking, I think has helped me sort of develop that definition.
Awesome. Thank you. I want you to think of a student that you think is college ready and describe them.
Oh boy. Hang on. It's going to take me a moment because I teach juniors now. Okay. I'm going to have to give you an amalgamation of a couple kids because I don't have any that are really college ready, but I've got a handful.
That's fine.
So I would say, students who can like identify gaps in their knowledge and understanding and knows what to ask when they come to me for help rather than just being like, I need help. I think that's a huge thing, is that they actually have the self-awareness to identify the misconceptions and gaps and then ask the right questions to get themselves to understanding. These are kids who are signing in to Zoom classes early and on time with their materials ready, so they're ready to go when we start and are not fumbling around. That's sort of like that executive functioning, is understanding what things in their life take what time and how to manage that. Students who don't message me in the middle of the class to use the bathroom because they'd already done that, or they know they can wait another 10 minutes until the end of class. Students who just take notes on their own, whether or not I ask them to, but also especially organize their notes in a way that makes sense for their brain and aren't just like copying words off a slide or copying a picture, that they're actually taking the information in, processing it, and putting it out in a way that makes sense for them. I guess that would be mostly like the study habits and like executive functioning stuff. I guess I don't really know how to describe like a student who is reading ready, someone who can read the texts in like at a relatively decent pace, but also with one reading can understand both the large scope of the text as well as the nuance of an argument. So they don't need me to break down questions to pull out nuances. They sort of can see those. Students who can hold multiple ideas and arguments in their head and kind of switch between them to determine the merits of something rather than just taking everything as face value fact. So really getting into that like nuance and gray area that exists in history classes, in particular. Yeah.
So how do you feel like that description kind of compares to what society would deem as college ready?
Well, I mean, I think society's version of college ready and like the Department of Education's version of college ready are very different. I think, the state tests that we currently ask our kids to take don't measure anything other than an ability to take a test. I don't think that they are necessarily strong indicators of college readiness, because even